Hey, everybody. Welcome back into the Lettermen Lounge at Roosters. It's a fun, casual joint, and it's time to talk about Ohio State football, as we do every Monday. It's Lettermen Live. That's Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, and a festive Jeremy Birmingham.
So last night I sent a group text to 3 phone numbers I thought were you guys, and I said, ugly sweater party, and I got a bunch of responses. 2 out of 3 said, yes, absolutely. But it must not have been you guys?
It wasn't me.
Wasn't me.
I have one at home. I'd have rocked it with you.
I've never given you my phone number.
This weekend got away from me, and I
you don't know who you text, huh?
texting.
How do you decide that a taco sweater?
Where do you get the taco sweater?
Let's be clear about 2 things that I love. Tacos and making myself look awkward.
But not Christmas.
Yeah.
I mean, Christmas happens every year. Tacos happen every day in your heart.
Oh, do they?
So, like, I figured what better way to embody who I am as a person than a taco sweater, and here we are. Feliz Navidad.
You had to get to, like, page 9 on Google to find that thing.
Feliz Navidad.
Here we are indeed. Christmas on Saturday. Happy holidays to everybody out there. Happy Rose Bowl preparation. Bob, it seems like I know you're in there every single day grinding at 4 a.m. in the Woody, getting the pulse.
I was there last week
of the Buckeyes. The way that Ohio State is talking, they seem to be embracing the Rose Bowl a little bit more than I thought they would. Now, we'll still have to see in 11, 12 days once they get there how motivated they actually will be. But a lot of this chirping that has come from the other side of the rivalry seems to have fueled at least some bowl prep.
Yeah, I think you've got a lot of proud guys in that facility, especially on the defensive side, the front 7 who felt like they got embarrassed. And then you hear, a victory lap of sorts coming from the state up north afterwards.
Just one?
Well, I mean, multiple laps. I mean, banners being flown. I mean, just lots of trash, third base, hitting triples, soft on defense. I mean, all these things, like, if you're a competitor, that's going to impact your heart and your pride of how well you think you're going to go out there and prepare. And thankfully, I said, very rarely in life do you get an opportunity. I don't know if you can ever right or wrong. You can't go back and play Michigan again, but you can play a team that plays very similar to them. And people could argue, I mean, I don't know if anyone's hotter than Utah right now with how well they're playing, especially on the offensive side and their ability to rush the football. So they're going to get that opportunity. They're a little depleted. At linebacker, I mean, it's been a battle of attrition throughout the season. And, so they're probably calling on some guys to go out there. They may only have 3 or 4 scholarship dudes dressed. But you know what? Pack your shoulder pads, pack your defense, pack your run game. Like, that's the type of game this is ultimately going to be. So I know that they're excited about that opportunity to go out there and do that and to show everybody that, you know what, like, that was just a one-off. Like, it got away from us a little bit. But we're not a soft team. We're playing a team that likes to run it. We can go up there. We can bang on these dudes. We can stop them and show everybody that, this defense came a long way from Oregon at the beginning of the year.
What do you think would happen if any of us said bang on dudes and Bobby was sitting right next to us?
Well, I mean, that's the reality of what's going on.
Girth or something would have come out. I don't know.
They're going to California.
Pack your shoulder pads and your mask.
And bang on some dudes. I think it's good. I think you see these defensive players. You saw Steel Chambers come out and say, that wasn't a great game. It was kind of a soft game for us. And, I think Bob hit on the head. It gives these guys a chance to, you're not going against Michigan, but you're kind of going to the next best thing, at least towards the end of the season, how they were running the ball and how, just overpowering people, and have a quarterback that can make some throws and can get the ball downfield. And that's not what they want to do, but, it's something they can. So it's like Michigan – I'm not Michigan Plus, but it's the same sort of deal, and so it gives them a chance to come out and just show that that was a fluke. We didn't play our best game. We are capable of much better, and the numbers and who's going to be playing, of course, is going to come into factor because we are short at some key positions where we need them to help stop that run. So that's going to be a big issue, and we'll find out as they get out there, like you were talking about.
I'm glad you brought up what Steele said, because part of the issue of any time someone has a problem, it's like, the steps of grief, addiction, like admitting that there is a problem is the first step. And not trying to excuse it like, well, we really weren't good, this and that.
It was snowing.
We've had some injury guys. Hey, listen, all those things, those may all be true, and they may be reasons, but, like, you do have to own the performance. Yep. And the fact that he came out, like, hey, you know what? Yeah. You can watch the film. We were a little soft.
We got our butts kicked, in a way.
we're getting hit and we're getting kind of driven through a little bit on some tackles, getting the guys down, but it doesn't look as clean as you would like. And so for him to come out there and openly acknowledge that, once you acknowledge the problem, then you can go to the second part, which is actually I call it the vanilla ice. If there's a problem, I'll solve it.
I'll solve it.
So that's the next part of it. They've acknowledged it. We've determined what it is. That's really it's the easy part of identifying. Admitting it is a little bit more difficult, and then solving it, well, that takes you having a long, hard look in the mirror and saying, what do I need to do to get better?
Got to check the hook for sure. And what I liked about what Steel Chambers said, and Jack Sawyer and some others, was that when you're looking at it and you're saying, yep, that team played soft on that particular day, I think there's and we talked about it right afterwards. Like, it doesn't mean that the entire program has caved in and that the roof on the Woody is not built on it.
We played Michigan State a week before, and they were supposed to run the ball all over the place, and they didn't, right?
It was one day.
Yeah.
And they did not meet the toughness standard on that one day, but I don't think that is a sweeping indictment of the other 364 days, no matter how much you emphasize Michigan in that particular game. They didn't play that well, but it doesn't mean that you have to say, well, Mickey Marotti doesn't know how to do this anymore, or Ryan Day can't.
Did you say fire Marotti? Is that
what? Austin
didn't say.
Oh my gosh!
Like, all the other things are still in place, and one game doesn't mean that the program is broken.
It doesn't mean the program is broken, but one game matters, one day matters, and that's how you define yourself, especially at Ohio State, by what happens on that one day.
Yeah.
And so you sort of have had your entire character tested. And I think the interesting thing about the Utah game is that even if the two Utes come out and run the ball the same way Michigan did and dominate Ohio State defensively up front the way Michigan did, I don't think it will matter.
That doesn't sound very good.
I don't think it will matter because Ohio State isn't playing Michigan's defense, and I think that they'll still score enough points to win the game. So,
but will it feel good?
No, but I guess that's the question, right? Like, what is the threshold of does this cleanse the soul? And because you could still go out and give up 250 yards rushing, but win 42-35, and people will be like, it's a win, but that doesn't matter. What matters here is how you bring it on that game day, and if the defense steps up and shows up with pride. And I think an interesting thing for me as I look at it here is I pass these fried mushrooms down. And
hey, can I interrupt you 1 second? They're mac and cheese bites here today.
Here we go.
Oh, it's the biggest development of the day. Mac and cheese bites are back.
They're back.
Roosters.
One thing I think that's interesting, Bob, is that there's a lot of coaches on this staff that are maybe coaching for a job next year, and players who are going to have an opportunity to put some film out there for a new defensive coordinator for the first time. And I wonder, I don't think there's been sweeping decisions made about which defensive staff members stick around or any of that kind of stuff yet. But
really,
I don't think so. I mean, I think there's question marks still as like how exactly it fills out, but. I think there's a lot of people who.
I thought they were putting together like a blood sport style tournament to see who stays.
Get in the octagon.
No.
The last man standing.
No, that's been
coaching
canceled.
Staff
That's been canceled.
is a little bit on it.
Omicron came along.
Omicron.
No, that island.
Canceling everything.
That island where they fight blood sport. That
still have
it's insulated.
Omicron canceled it. So
Dana White still has the island.
I just think it's
still up.
It's a final day for people to really kind of put something out there and say, hey, this is who we are moving forward.
When you got guys who you're talking about, are you going to leave? What are you doing on the defensive side of the ball? On the defensive line.
Where the hell are you going?
Yeah, this is a chance for you to get that last one off. Well, I mean, they're going to pay attention to it, of course, but to show, hey, that was an off day. We came back strong here in this ball game. We stuck around for our team. All that good stuff that goes into it, but to get some good film out there.
Are you talking about the brotherhood? I think that's what Jay-Z is referring to.
Brotherhood.
Is the brotherhood. Sticking around, playing for one another. And we see a lot of departures, and there's a lot of guys who could leave and not play. And I think that overwhelmingly, most of the guys are going to show up. Yep. There might be a couple guys who opt out, but I think there could be some surprises, as you have alluded to, Mr. Ward. I think a lot of those guys, especially on the defensive side of the ball, will be out there and will be in full force. And, number one, getting Cam Brown back and his acknowledgement that he will be returning next year, that's huge. That's really big because he's a very talented player, beat up a little bit this year, but having a veteran presence with a guy with his skill level, that is massive.
What a beautiful graphic he posted. Oh, thumbs up. He's diving.
I missed it.
Berman and I helped. I didn't make the graphic, but we coordinated some of this with, as you guys know, he's one of my favorite players.
Why is that?
He's just a genuine human being. He's not a wild card. He's the opposite of that.
But he's the one.
Although it does come out.
He's not a prison shake guy.
It does come out a little bit on the field.
He'll curb stomp a dude. We saw that.
We did see it.
If you grab onto his ankle and won't let go, he's going to grab your helmet.
I've had enough injuries. Get off my ankle.
That's all we need. That's all I'm not saying. You've got to be
on the field wild card.
Walking around at noon on a Tuesday on High Street looking for someone to shank. I'm just saying when the opportunity.
Someone punches you in the face, you punch him back.
When the ball hits the foot or foot hits the ball. Rather,
either way,
yeah.
Depending how you look at it, the ball or the foot.
When there's an opportunity presents itself and they throw the bat signal up, well, then that means you put your cape and costume on and you go fight some crime.
Do you call it a costume or do you call it a uniform if you're a superhero?
It's a costume until you actually do it.
until you save somebody.
Then it becomes a uniform.
A football outfit is a costume until you actually use it for its intended purpose. Helmet and shoulder pads are used to hit somebody.
That makes a lot of sense. And Cameron Brown coming back makes a lot of sense and helps, I think, both parties there. There was so much conversation. Does Ohio State need to go into the portal? Do they need to add a
Elias Ricks?
It's a Bama.
I mean, Cameron
put
Brown
those reports out there.
Puts all of that conversation to rest because now you have a senior cornerback he certainly could have been on an NFL roster next year. And even with a limited sample size of playing and still being hurt this year, when he was out there full strength, full go, he was one of the best cornerbacks in the Big Ten. One of the best in the country, I would say, when you partner him with Denzel Burke. So those two come back. Legend Cavazos been pretty critical of him, but he was playing a lot better as the season went on. Jordan
Hancock. Herbie.
Yep.
He's going to be
Jordan
good.
Hancock, Ja'Kalen Johnson. I mean, Ja'Kalen hurt himself in the which game was that? The Penn State game.
Hurt himself. He got injured.
I don't know. He got hurt. I don't know if he
hurt himself.
I don't know if he did it himself or not.
Hurting yourself is falling down the stairs or like slipping in the shower.
The Jaguars kicker hurt himself this weekend.
Oh, did he?
Jaguars and kicking this week has been a hot topic. Moving on.
You were saying something about J.K. Johnson?
I don't remember anything.
The cornerbacks are going to be.
Yeah,
they're going to be.
The
fine.
point is they have a lot of young, untested talent, and I think that the reality is Ohio State and Ryan Day said it on signing day. They thought they hit a home run a year ago with J.K. Johnson and Jordan Hancock, and those two were the top two guys on their board in the class of 2021, like the top. So. At this point, you have to trust that your evaluations are right. They liked what they saw out of Jordan Hancock this season. They like what they saw out of J.K. Johnson. When he's now speaking of a wild card, he's a guy that those St. Louis kids can get a little different.
I like it.
Oh, is that right?
And Cam Brown, and J.K. Johnson are both from St. Louis.
Zeke.
Cam's a St. Louis dude.
No. He's from the Lou and he's proud.
He is. I mean, he's so St. Louis. Just
country grammar.
Oh boy. Yeah, so
you're the one that's wearing the sweater, and
my sweater looks great.
We're turning the show weird.
You guys are festive, but it's one of these situations where you need to have one of these veteran guys come back and say, "Hey, I'm going to take this. I'm going to take control of this." And I think it's interesting that Cam did it before the game and wanted to get a head start on it. And I think you'll see other guys like Zach Harrison and maybe even Taraji Mitchell and other guys do the same thing.
And it's important with Cam Brown as well because he was ready to go. I talked to him, 7 days beforehand, and he said, I'm going to play the Rose Bowl, but not sure my body can take another year of the wear and tear. Just to be completely transparent about it, he was ready to move on. He was telling other players that was the case. But some of these other factors that we've talked about, boosting your draft stock is one for him personally, but the sting of the loss, not a lot of players want to end their career at Ohio State losing to Michigan. And having all those championships stripped away, not winning a national championship, not winning a Big Ten championship your final year. Those things all factor into it. So you don't have to – I think it's a good thing for Ohio State. You also brought up the brotherhood. You want to be with your teammates. That's another part of it. How big of a slice of pie, I don't know. But when you put it all in there, you don't have to make up your mind and say, well, I can't come back. You can still come back. And that is in the back of their minds. And I think that you may find – I don't know what Zach Harrison's going to decide. He said he was going to play in the Rose Bowl and then sit down. But has he accomplished everything that he wanted to?
Will he get drafted where he wants to get?
Yes. I mean, this is somebody that certainly when you look going into the year in August and September, and then he makes a couple sacks but then gets hurt, I think he finished with 4.5. That's not first-round production. And we're just going to call it like it is. Maybe that conversation looks different.
Especially in a year where you got 2 top 5 guys.
Exactly right.
Yep.
So we'll see what transpires there, but I think that, the way that this Rose Bowl month has played out, where there's not a lot of discussion about the actual game, has maybe helped that realization come quicker for some of these guys, especially like Cam Brown. But we'll see.
And I think Cam probably looked at this, and there's a big difference in salary between being third, fourth, or first, second. And that's he has the ability and the potential to be one of those guys. It's just the injuries have hampered him. But when he was on the field this year, he was very good. So Cam, and then it was with Zach Harrison. Like you said, there's a lot of unfulfilled, untapped potential there, and expectations that he had coming in, and he's shown flashes of it. But if you want to be a first-round pick, you've got to be that guy every week.
You have to be dominant.
You got to be getting the double teams and letting your other guys.
We're talking 4.5 sacks a season. Chase Young had 4 sacks in a game. Now, I'm not trying to say he needs to be to that level, but if
that's how you become a top 5.
If we're on the 5-star level, I watched Nick Bosa got 15 sacks in the NFL this year. I mean, he harasses quarterbacks on a weekly basis. Joey, same thing. Yeah. Chase, before he got injured, like all those guys. And so if you want to get your name be put in the same category in the company of those players, it's not about leaving after 3 years. It's about being as productive and as feared as those guys.
And you can give him a little leeway and understand the situation has been very bizarre.
COVID, there's all this crap that's going on.
I'm not saying it's his fault.
The interesting thing with Zach is that he's a guy that if he decided to leave and went to the combine and he's going to
test well,
blow people's minds with what he can do athletically. But then you have to ask, how
they're going to turn the film on though, and they're going.
How does that balance out with what NFL guys are seeing on tape? And I think we've talked to Zach about this the last 2 years. Like, hey, you're so close, you're so close, you're so close. In his mind, does he realize that I'm so close and I still have to get there, or does he think I'm so close and that's close enough? And I think that's really what it comes down to.
Close only counts in horseshoes, hand grenades, and dancing. Remember?
No, I didn't know the dancing one.
Well,
that was horseshoes
proximity matters. Let's put it like
straight out, back and forth.
Yeah,
that's the Orville way.
Yeah, noon dances. That's how it worked.
We don't dance in Orville, Ohio.
I thought he was just going to talk about ballroom dancing, but apparently we've got.
Listen, I can do that too. Tap jazz. I did it all back in the day.
Really?
Yeah.
Huh? Did you wear?
I got these sweet feet.
Wear some beautiful sweaters for that too.
Oh, I had some nice costumes. Those were those were costumes.
Once it's go time, it's called a uniform.
Those were costumes. I don't know. I can't call that a uniform.
Well, we're going to take a break, and we're going to put on our uniforms for the second half. Berm's going to. Well, I think one basket of mac and cheese bites is already gone. Hopefully,
I'm leaving these down here. He's not getting them.
At your local Roosters tomorrow. Appetizer Tuesday is.
We have a plethora here of appetizers.
I think we have every appetizer.
Bounty. It's a holiday bounty.
It really is. This is the cornucopia.
I think it's because we want to have all of our bases covered. That we have fried mushrooms. I think that's the number one choice for Tuesday.
And Bill Zwick.
And he'll definitely be loading up on those. But
Will's watching.
It's subject to change. It's going to be $2
Hallmark
no matter
movies,
what you order.
Fried mushrooms.
Not no matter what you order. There's
while
a surprise.
listening to Lettermen
Austin's
Live.
Putting out fake news.
Oh, that's right.
Here.
I've tried to take that away from Nicole before. She didn't like that.
Yeah. So
whatever your local Roosters
has
designated.
It'll be $2.
We got some mott sticks, the mac and cheese bites. I mean, my goodness.
Don't you yearn
There's
for a
others.
day where every appetizer can be $2?
Jay-Z's going to get chips brought back, and I'm going to get every appetizer for $2.
Be a Christmas miracle.
That's going to be our mission statement at Roosters for Lettermen Live. It's a fun, casual joint. This is a fun, casual conversation.
Roosters is one of the unique companies that we deal with. They're involved in everything we do, from our personal foundation to also the Cancer Research Fund. And that's from the Buckeye Cruise from Cancer to all the events leading up to the Buckeye Cruise.
They donate back to different organizations that are near and dear to their heart. And we're so fortunate to have been with Roosters now for a long, long time.
All the folks at Roosters are just genuinely kind folks, and they want to make a difference.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Thank you, Roosters Foundation.
Precision engineering, rigorous attention to detail. A Bryant Evolution heating system is so well designed, it's as much of a joy to install as it is to use.
Good to go.
For the dealer nearest you, visit Bryant.com.
All right, welcome back in to Lettermen Live. It is brought to you by Roosters. Monday brought another case of portal fever to Ohio State.
Yes, portal fever.
Darion Henry Young, the former 4-star, he had a lot of injuries he was dealing with throughout high school. It's never really fully healthy with the Buckeyes. He has entered the portal as well. Berm, impact here. Doesn't seem like this is something that changes a whole lot for Ohio State.
Well, it doesn't change a whole lot, especially if you do get Zach Harrison back and Javonte Jean-Baptiste comes back and Tyler Friday's coming back, and
Bro, Tyler Friday's traps and shoulders are on a whole nother level right now. I mean,
he was like it was the only thing he could do this year. So
Coach, I'm like,
he got after it.
I asked Coach Mick, I'm like, where everyone wants to know what's the secret to Friday's trap workout. I tell Marcus Crowley, he's on the crutches. We can't do any legs. Can we get shoulders and start looking like Tyler Friday? So my man's looking straight off like Debo on Friday.
Wow,
it's the kind of insight you can only get.
I can't keep up. Darian was a player out of Cincinnati Princeton High School, very kind of raw in high school. You know, they really kind of thought.
But was he a dog though? Could he get after
at times?
Raw, but a dog.
I think that there was a belief that he would develop into like an Adolphus Washington type 3-tech who could do a little bit of.
Yeah.
But he didn't put on the weight that they really, I think, wanted him to in the last 2 years. He, as Austin said, hasn't been able to really stay healthy. And as you look at the depth chart and Jack Sawyer and now JT Tuamaloau and everything else that's coming, I think, you know, it's one of these things where a kid sees the writing on the wall, and you can't really wish ill on people when they make a decision for themselves. But you know, it has only been 1 year, and you think again. I think a lot of times these kids just need to slow down.
Yeah, one normal year,
right?
Plus one weird year, but they're all weird anymore.
This is his second-year player, correct?
He's a redshirt freshman. He's in class of 2020. Yeah.
So 2 seasons. If you give it 2 seasons to me, and you begin to see, and there's different reasons different guys do everything. But I think the transfer portal can work well for guys in this situation where you've been in a school for 2 years. You've worked at it. Maybe you've had some injuries, some other things. They're starting to recruit around you and maybe over you a little bit. And you're like, where's my pathway to play? And maybe you can grind and walk uphill both ways on that path and finally get there. Or it's like, you know what, I could probably go to a school that's, I say step down, maybe not quite as competitive as a top 5 program in the country. Yeah. And there's an easier pathway to go there.
It's interesting for guys like that. He's from Cincinnati.
He's an Ohio
Cincinnati
guy.
now is a top 5 program.
Yeah. And it's a top 5 ranked. I wouldn't say it's a top 5 program consistently.
You're not going to have the 4 and 5 stars in the same room as you do at Ohio State.
To veer off the path here a little bit, this is where Luke Fickell has to win battles.
Oh, yeah.
I mean, he's going to have to beat Kentucky and a couple other schools for a guy like Darian Henry Young. They all want Ohio State cast-offs or departers. So I think it's fascinating to see how that plays out, because Luke can build a program.
What, the 35th ranked recruiting class, 36th? Yeah. I'm not a math guy, but there's like at least 12 schools almost averaging in every Power 5 program. Like, that's 60. It's really like probably 63, 64. I'm like, that means he's beating about half of them in recruiting at a group of 5 school.
And he knows what he's doing. That's, I think he probably has a good shot of winning this one. Darian Henry Young was seriously considering Cincinnati coming out. I believe he took a visit there, Berm, or maybe multiple.
Him and Paris took a visit there as sort of a...
so he was Paris. Okay, I know exactly who you're talking about now.
So him and Paris, they were teammates there at Cincinnati, Princeton. They took a visit there in the summer, an official visit. And it was sort of a goodwill visit, basically. A
favor
to say, hey, we're going to go and show up on a big weekend for you guys and have some highly ranked players, big-time guys there, just to, they love Cincinnati. There's no rooting against them. So it was sort of a go ahead and let him visit with Paris. And, again, it's a battle Luke Fickell needs to win.
Well, he's won those historic. Like, he got, was it Hudson out of Michigan? Who came down and played tackle, and did a great job and played well. And
he's throwing a net over that Cincinnati area. I mean, he realizes there's good football down there. He needs to get those guys.
James Hudson was teammates with Michael Warren at Toledo Central Catholic, so that's where they had that relationship. So when Hudson left Michigan, that was why Cincinnati was sort of the...
So Luke, hey, come here. I mean,
he understands the relationship.
We can get down here. We'll develop you. We'll work you out. And there's a pathway, too. And to get to the NFL, they're going to have a lot of guys drafted. Yep. I mean, they're going to have some dudes out there, and I think they've shown that, hey, we can go compete.
They have dudes that are best players at their position in the league, coming from Cincinnati.
Right.
I mean, it's definitely on the up.
I think the point you raised about sticking it out 2 years, Bobby, I mean, I wish that was sort of the standard.
That was my thing for the transfer portal. Give them 2 years. Because then if you're not playing, you have 3 years to go play somewhere else. You can play immediately. It's all good.
You have 2 recruiting classes come in. You can kind of see what they're doing behind you, or you have maybe 1 or 1.5.
Yeah.
You can kind of see what's going on, where you might fit in or where you might not fit in, and realize that you might have to do something.
Those are the kind of changes that have to happen, or things get way out of control.
There's a lot of things going on, and I think Berm has said this, and I know he doesn't truly want a lot of government influence in college football deep down.
Let me
but
be
there
clear.
are
just in his personal
that
life.
So like we were in here Monday, we couldn't have even envisioned everything that was going to happen on Wednesday. With a number 2 overall, number 1 or number 2, depending on which site you're reading, going to an FCS Jackson State because Barstool is paying $1 million. We couldn't have envisioned that.
Well, they said they are.
Now is that confirmed?
It's reported. It's rumored enough that you wonder how a rumor like that takes off.
Fair.
There's some rooted
Smoke and fire.
But regardless, I mean, we're in a. But
somebody is paying him to go there,
and it doesn't matter if he goes there because he doesn't have to stay. He may never even play there.
Yeah,
you just
made a big splash, and then he could transfer out.
What does a letter of intent mean?
Nothing
Not anymore.
Transfer without, so that was the argument. Like, you used to sign it. It's like, all right, well, now I've signed this. They have to either let me out of this or I've got to go there and then sit out for a year. Now it's like, well, can you, like, delete the text that you sent the portal and then that eliminates your letter and you decide
just
to go
unsend it like in Instagram? I'm going to unsend that from you guys. Yeah, sorry about that.
There are going to be issues that come out of this, and there has to be. I mean, I know I mentioned Congress getting involved. What I
solved a lot of problems lately.
What I really,
no doubt about
what
it.
I really mean,
they're batting 1,000 right now.
What I really want is some sort of regulated body, whether it's inside the college football, the NCAA actually doing something.
NCAA
to have some sort of rules. There has to be rules. This isn't Vietnam.
Jerry, without rules,
asking,
there's chaos.
On the one hand, you have Congress, and on the other, you have
the NCAA.
And somehow Berm thinks that these groups
merge them.
I don't care who it is.
They'll figure it out.
Someone has to regulate this stuff because otherwise, what happened with last Wednesday? And hey, great, cool for Travis Hunter if he's going to start a new thing. But guess what? Not everyone's going to get paid $1 million like Travis Hunter is. So, allegedly. You just have to understand that. Not everyone's in the same position, but Deion Sanders doesn't have to stay at Jackson State next year. Travis Hunter doesn't have to even show up. I mean, it's just sort of rudderless right now, and I don't think that's good for anyone.
Rudderless. But how much fun, let me ask you this. As a kid, when you would go down like those big hills sled riding on the disc sled without the rudder.
Pick up some
and
speed.
you're just spinning in circles. You have no idea where you're going. You know there's some trees, there's some other things down there. Is there like a little stream, maybe a fence? Is the road
into the road?
Yeah. Oh, I'm backwards. I don't have the ability to control this at all. As opposed to like, I get on the normal linear one with some tracks. Like you're staying straight up. You're going fast, but you can see there's not near the excitement, Berm, to be able to spin. Like I watched Christmas Vacation last night. Chevy Chase just spinning in the circle right there, man. That was real exciting stuff.
Bob has now fully embraced the chaos of college football, and he loves it. He wants more
I
of
would
it.
have never imagined that you would be.
Because what are we going to do? We're going to slide this in the Build Back Better bill and get here. You know what? This is going to sweeten the pot for everybody.
There you go.
Berm was writing.
It'll
to
cost zero.
His local.
It'll cost zero for everybody out there.
Hey, you know what? You want to get some? You want to maybe get some red state senators involved? You guys.
That's when you get something done.
It's too bad we're losing Gonzo. He would have pushed this through.
Yeah,
he's taking control.
Gonzo gave up on this for the same reason that we make fun of it, because you realize it's literally just banging your head.
I can't be a part of this. I got to get out of here.
Banging your head in the wall, talking to people who, it's like they're highly educated but highly ignorant. It's really a great combination.
Well, so the other part of this was, we talked about it on signing day. Berm and I did that. Hey, Texas with setting up whatever endowments, scholarships, NIL,
slush funds,
whatever you want. Like, I'd say you have to just tip your hat to Texas because they adapted early enough and took advantage of it. Well, I find it very hard to believe that the same thing won't exist at Ohio State.
You saw the tweet, right?
It's amazing that you brought that up.
Wink face.
Because literally this morning, as I was working out and I'm listening to you on Bishop and Laurinaitis with your guy Tim May and True Digressions, which, what is this? Is New Year's resolution?
There's no way that'll stick.
100% no way.
What did he say?
He's resolved not to say I digress.
I almost said that I was going to digress.
Right.
What?
But the irony wasn't what he was doing. It wasn't even a digression. It was just really part of the conversation.
It never is. He's just his go-to.
As I was listening to you guys talk about that, I'm thinking should I start making calls? I feel like I know enough boosters and different things.
Yeah.
I'm not saying I would be the person to drive this. Like, hey, Let's look around contributions.
I'm saying that maybe you will be.
Maybe.
Let's get LLC set up. I mean, figure something out. And hey, who wants to contribute to this pot? And we'll do something for the offensive line. And I don't know if you can get $50,000 every year for every player, but how many phone calls does that take?
Right.
And I mean, is this something where, hey, you know what? We'll put it in. It'll be like an endowment. We'll have a group that manages it, and we'll only distribute some of the proceeds from it.
So we got to do it now. We don't want to wait and go in the toilet like Texas did for 10 years.
But that's
we don't want that, so we got to stay ahead of it.
I was sitting there thinking, like, is anybody doing this right now? I'm sure there probably are conversations being had, but
there are definitely conversations. No one's doing it yet, but trust me, after what happened in the last 5 months, you have to. There is no other option.
I don't think that, like I said, Texas could see that was probably coming. Texas A&M seemed to be out there in front. Both of those have very passionate, deep-pocketed boosters who are always involved in roster management, whether that was
whether good or bad. Yeah.
So some of that was already in place for them, but I don't think anybody thought it would be to that extent that you have to do this right away, because there was some expectation that maybe the market would settle itself. But all of this was happening for the first time, and this is the rules now. So that's what you have to play by.
Over the line.
But
Berms, who is going to be the Walter Solchek and stand up and pull the piece out on everybody in college football and say, over the line?
Yeah. I'm sorry, Sarky. Sorry, Sarky. You're over the line.
No, dude.
Mark it, dude. Today.
Mark it.
I'm sorry, Sarky. You're over the line.
It's more like Jimbo. Sorry, Jim. Hey, listen. Hey, we've been doing this for years now. I guess you could. Not we, but I mean people have been doing this for years.
Yeah, we can do it in public now. It's okay.
That's where we're at.
I mean, this is not new money. People didn't just suddenly decide that they were going to invest in their favorite college football team. And
I like the term that you use right there. Invest in your favorite college football. Hey, listen, I'm going to put
just giving money away. I'm investing this into you
I'm
guys.
investing it into the program in hopes of the return in wins on the back end.
Yeah.
And those wins.
How much are those wins worth?
The utility that I get, the good feelings. I mean, I'm going to have to go back and watch Blue Chips again. Like, that's where I
get some good ideas out of there.
I mean, I really feel like this is life imitating art now. With go buy yourself another linebacker. I mean, at what point can you get to be that booster where you're calling Ryan Day, hey, do we need to get this done? All right, well, I need some access. I need this. I need that.
Who's got Trendies?
I want to call some plays.
Who's got Trendies, Walter?
Who's got
Well, I think
the whites.
I had conversations with some people in that building down the road about that influence in the future. If you're letting the boosters take control of your roster, now what does that mean for you? You have to go answer to them. They're signing the paycheck.
Slippery slope.
I don't know. That's why I think Berm wants Congress involved. Protect everyone involved.
Because they don't ever take.
All I care about is the integrity of the sport.
Yes.
And no one cares more about integrity than those fine people in Congress.
That's
very true.
I've said it. I've always said that.
I've
always said that.
Thank you.
That's truly a great point. I will not be here for the last Letterman Live of the year. I will be in Los Angeles. So
we're going to get you a TV screen like they do on the first take.
I'll be probably still in the air with 17 masks on.
Can you get a selfie stick so you can do it? So you're not. We don't want the up in your face. We want you to be a little bit away. And
excuse me, sir. Put down that can of Coke and your peanuts. You had your mask down for an hour.
You actually eat the peanuts on a flight?
Who doesn't?
100%.
I think they're not allowed to have those because people have allergies. Pretzels.
Yeah, pretzels.
It's a mix. It's a mix now.
Peanuts, though, no. I mean, the best are the biscotti cookies that Delta gives you.
Yes, the biscottis.
Thank you, Delta.
I don't like to fly Delta because I like for my plane to actually take off.
Yes. You don't fly Delta either. You don't like to fly.
Trust me, I only.
Nobody's going to listen to you.
Help it, I only fly Delta.
You don't like getting on planes.
Qantas.
Oh yeah.
Qantas never crashed.
I've not heard about it. I'm not worried about the crashing so much as I am just the.
And what are you worried about?
I don't know. I don't something called it bumpy.
The legroom?
The turbulence?
Yeah. Turbulence. About it crashing, just doesn't like turbulence.
Yeah, because if I'm going to crash, it doesn't matter.
Just a smooth crash would be fine?
Yeah.
Cool.
So, but either way, I only fly Delta if I can help it because it's out of Detroit and it's direct to almost everywhere I go.
It's true.
The D.
It's a much better.
It's right in your backyard.
The fact that you're not worried about crash, that's usually people's most irrational fear about flying.
I'm a rational human. I realize.
That's what I gotta say. Like if
the plane's going to crash, I'm going to die. So I don't.
So if it gets bouncy, you say the same thing. Like, hey, if it goes down, whatever. Because that's the way it goes.
At that point, it's just like an unnecessary
They're messing with you?
Yeah, because if I'd much rather like 99.999% of the time have a perfectly smooth flight, and that 0.00001, the pilot come out and be like, "Well, you're doomed, you're dead." So say goodbye. I'd much rather have
smooth sailing up to here, but we're going into a mountain.
Dive
Berm's
right into it.
Berm's like, this is perfect.
Yeah.
This is how I wanted it.
Thank you, Captain.
Yeah, thanks, Cap.
I just prefer
smooth ride up to this point.
I want them to be direct.
Can I take my mask off?
No,
sir,
you better not.
Sir, mask up.
That'd be a plane full of COVID deaths.
Oh boy. We're going to have to change the grading on this video.
This one will not be safe for everyone's.
I couldn't.
Oops.
Oh, well. I was going to ask what you guys think is going to happen on New Year's Day, since I won't be here to talk about it.
I think I like a Buckeye victory.
Yeah.
I don't think it's a dominant defensive performance, but I think you feel a lot better watching it. Like, you're not going to hold Utah to 30 yards rushing the football. It's not going to be Michigan State.
Right.
But I don't think it looks like it did against Michigan either. And, they're spinning some dudes around there, linebacker, trying to solve some problems. And I think that you'll see that the problems are on their way to being solved. You're getting a lot of partial credit. I don't know if we're getting 100%.
Full credit.
But, on the long division, can I get like an 8.5 and 9 out of 10 on this problem?
Show some work.
Show your work. Make the tackles. All right, they had a 20-yard run. Okay, but they didn't have 15 of them.
Bend but don't break. They're not just taking 8-minute drives down the field. Maybe they've hit a couple big ones, but you regather and you slow them down. I think they don't have the horses that Michigan did to keep it up the entire game. And they may come out strong, and I think we wear them down, even though we might be a little thin on that side as well. But we have our big. They've come out, our big D linemen have said they're going to play in this game, so we expect to have them at full tilt, and they're going to, have something to prove. Well, maybe not one, but the guys that are going to play, who are coming back and choosing to play in this game, they're going to have something to prove, and they're going to want to go out and have their last game be a good one and put that on film.
Yeah,
I think the tweet from C.J. Stroud on Sunday, which he tweeted something, he said, "This is how villains are made," or something. And posted.
Was that he put that out?
4th place. I think that you're going to see C.J. Stroud go out in the Rose Bowl and use that as a launching pad for next year. And I think that the Buckeyes are going to win. I think they're going to win somewhat easily. I think 52-24-ish somewhere.
Ooh.
I think that you're going to see a pissed off team. And a lot of guys that have a lot to prove. And so I think that generally, despite the fact that it's a bowl game, and I know the rest of the team that doesn't want to be there the most is the team that I think these guys realize that they may not want to be there, but they need to be there.
And they don't want to get embarrassed like they did the last time they were on the field.
I think that drives them. So I think it's actually going to be a fairly comfortable.
Now, I know nobody has said anything, but I just want to ask you, you talk about putting 52 points up. So does that mean we have all of our weapons on that side of the ball?
I think we're all of the mindset that there's no possible way Garrett Wilson plays in the Rose Bowl.
Okay.
I think that there's still some discussion about Chris Olave playing. I think that he's probably going to. That's just my personal opinion. He may not play the whole game. He may not need to. But I also believe that with Jackson Smith and Jigba and Julian Fleming and Emeka Egbuka and Marvin Harrison, that
we have
that Utah still doesn't have the ability to stop all those guys. TreVeyon Henderson's playing.
Yeah, that's what.
and then there's him.
And he's somebody who really, I think, benefited from
some time off,
a little bit of a break, and then recharging. It was hard. He was hurt and dealing with some of the true freshman walls there in the second half. And he wasn't the same guy at the end of the year, and not the same guy that he will be maybe on New Year's Day, or definitely not next year. So add that in. I think Ohio State's going to win this game. As Bob said, it's hard to figure out exactly how much stock to put into this defensive effort, because the day after they get back, Jim Knowles will be in charge, and they'll be looking at some other things and changing the scheme. Banged up at linebacker still, maybe missing somebody who can help stop the run up front. But
have you had a chance, Bob, to look more at his scheme and what he does? Is there a real difference between what he does and the defensive ideal that Ryan Day has wanted to run?
I don't think it's massively different. He does some different things in the way that he goes about it. I think some of that too might be the type of offenses you're playing conference-wise, and you're going to tweak that to try to stop those guys with it. But I don't think it's some massive deviation in philosophy from how he plays and what they've done before. But there'll be some small, subtle tweaks. I think they want to diversify some things on what they do. And the good thing, having Cam Brown back, having guys who have been experienced players on the back end, it gives you the ability to be more flexible than maybe what they've been in the past.
It's still a 4-2-5. That's what the Buckeyes have, in essence, been running.
Yeah.
So, you don't change it wholesale changes, but I think the idea is to mix it up, right? Be more multiple.
Well, the thing is, in the Big Ten, you can run a 4-2-5, but there's games where you have to be able to run a 4-3.
Mm-hmm.
As we just saw,
or
as many as it takes. As many dudes as it takes in those first two numbers.
Yeah, and it also helps if you have enough linebackers to actually
do it. Yeah.
So another thing to discuss heading into the offseason / Rose Bowl preparation. Want to make sure that everybody has a wonderful Christmas.
Hey, you do the same.
Happy holidays. It's been a great year with you guys as always. I will not be here for the last show of the year. Getting ready to head out there for the Rose Bowl and provide.
Keep your head on a swivel out there.
I will. I will do my best to stay safe, and you guys do the same. Thanks to Nicole Cox for having us. Appetizer Tuesday on deck. She'll be out there in LA as well with the Roosters Bowl Trip giveaway for those winners. 24 of them getting the deluxe accommodation.
What a trip, huh?
And she's busy planning for that right now. A lot of logistics going in to California. That's Justin Zwick, Bobby Carpenter, Jeremy Birmingham, and I am Austin Ward. See you all in California. These guys will see you next week at Lettermen Live. It's brought to you by Roosters. It's a fun, casual